Hello, I am Tuệ An. Welcome to Insightful Journey. If your heart is heavy today because of the struggles in parenting, or simply because you want to find a truly meaningful way to love, this video is for you. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I give my child everything good, yet they grow more distant from me? There are children who grow up with every material comfort, with profound education, yet their souls are scarred by the very expectations of their parents. We often think we are polishing a gem, but sometimes we are unintentionally crushing a budding flower. Today, Tuệ An wants to tell you the story of Nam, a father who, like many others, once believed strictness is the measure of love. Nam was a successful engineer, but deep within him lay an unfulfilled dream of music. As a child, he longed to touch the piano keys, but poverty prevented it. When his son Bin was born, Nam promised himself, "My child will not suffer the deprivations I did. He will become an excellent pianist." When Bin turned 6, an expensive piano was prominently placed in the living room. And from there, the tragedy began. Every evening, instead of joyful laughter, Nam's house echoed with shouts mixed with scattered off-key piano notes. "Focus! Why do you keep playing this part wrong? I spend so much money on your lessons, don't you feel bad?" Nam snapped, slamming his hand on the piano lid. Little Bin's shoulders trembled, tears streaming down onto the black and white keys. "I'm so tired, Dad. My hands hurt. I don't like playing the piano." But Nam didn't listen. He only saw resistance. He thought his son was lazy. He thought he was instilling discipline. He said, "I do all this for you. You'll thank me later." Day after day, music, which should have been a source of joy and transcendence, became a monster in Bin's eyes. Just seeing the piano made Bin shrink away. The boy became quiet, withdrawn, and the look in his father's eyes was no longer admiration, but fear mixed with resentment. The climax came on Bin's 10th birthday. Nam excitedly asked his son to perform a piece for the guests. Bin sat before the piano, sweating profusely. He placed his hands on the keys but couldn't strike a single note. The crushing pressure made his mind go blank. Nam, feeling humiliated in front of his friends, loudly scolded his son right in the middle of the party. And then, something unexpected happened. Bin jumped up, slammed the piano lid shut. A harsh bang rang out, silencing the room. The boy screamed through his tears, "I hate the piano, I hate music, and I hate you too." Then he bolted into his room and locked the door. In that moment, Nam froze. He looked down at his own hands, then at the cold piano. For the first time in 4 years, he no longer saw his son's bright future. He only saw brokenness. He realized he wasn't nurturing a talent, he was killing a soul. Does Nam's story feel familiar to you? Maybe you didn't force your child to play the piano, but maybe you forced them to study math, forced them into specialized schools, forced them to become somebody to save face in front of others. We often use the name of love to cover up our own fear and ego. The big idea Tuệ An wants to send you today is simple but painful. Your children are not a second chance for you to fulfill your unfinished dreams. They are an independent seed, and the parent's job is to be the gardener, not the sculptor. A sculptor wants to chisel the stone according to their will. If the stone is hard, they use a hammer, a chisel. They remove the parts they deem superfluous. But a gardener is different. If they plant a rose, they don't force it to bloom into a lotus. They observe, they water, they pick off the pests, and they patiently wait for the flower to bloom in its own way. Hold on, don't rush to turn off the video, because what Tuệ An is about to say is the real key for Nam to salvage his relationship with his son. And it could be the key for you too. Nam's change didn't come from parenting books, but from one afternoon, when he unintentionally saw Bin sitting in the garden. No piano, no pressure. Bin was sitting on the ground. intently watching a colony of ants carrying food back to their nest. The boy's eyes were sparkling, his mouth mumbling with joy. "Go, ants, go! You're so smart!" For the first time in years, Nam saw his son smile. A pure, clear smile he had missed. He suddenly realized his son didn't hate learning, he only hated being forced. His son had his own world, a world Nam had never humbled himself to enter. So, from the perspective of philosophy, psychology, and applied Buddhism, how do we decode this tragedy? First, in psychology, this is the projection syndrome. Parents project their unfulfilled desires and their fears of failure onto the child. When the child fails to perform, the parent's anger is not because the child is bad, but because the parent's ego is hurt. Their fear of the child's failure is the same as their fear of their own failure. Second, through the lens of applied Buddhism, this is the absence of wisdom in compassion. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once taught, "If love is without understanding, it makes the other person suffer." Nam loved his son deeply, but he didn't understand him. He loved the image of the pianist in his head more than he loved the flesh and blood child suffering in front of him. We often talk about karma. Sowing the seed of imposition reaps the fruit of estrangement. Sowing the seed of listening reaps the fruit of understanding. When Nam forced his son, cause, he created fear and resentment, effect. This effect not only tormented the son, but turned back to torment Nam himself. So how to change? How to shift from forcing to co-parenting? Nam did this, and you can apply it today. The solution lies in 3 steps of conscious transformation. Observe, accept, co-parent. Step 1. Observe with mindfulness. Let go of all expectations. See your child as they are, not as you want them to be. Nam started by sitting quietly watching his son play with the ants, playing with building blocks. He observed his son's eyes, his focus. He realized Bin had a strong logical mind and great curiosity about the natural world, completely different from the artistic talent he had imposed. Step 2. Accept the difference. This is the hardest step. Admit you were wrong and accept that your child is not your clone. Nam had a tearful conversation with himself to put aside his ego. He sold the piano. That act was a declaration. I free you and I free myself. Step 3. Co-parent and participate. Instead of standing aloof and dictating, sit down at eye level with your child. One afternoon, Nam brought home a magnifying glass and a book about insects. He approached Bin gently. "Bin, I think these ants are so interesting. Can you show me what they're doing?" Bin looked at his father in surprise. His eyes were scrutinizing. But seeing the sincerity in his father's eyes, the boy nodded. So the father and son huddled together at the base of the tree. "Look, Dad, this ant is a worker ant." No more shouting, only laughter remained. From those afternoons, the father-son bond was re-established. Not through grand symphonies, but through tiny ants and streaks of mud. And what was the result, you ask? Bin didn't become a pianist. Later, he became a passionate biologist. But more important than achievement is that he always had his father as his closest friend. Nam lost an artistic dream, but he found his son again. My dear friend, every child who comes into this life carries a unique mission, their own karma, and their own talents. Don't try to turn a fish into a bird, and don't force a monkey to swim. If you are holding the hammer of imposition, put it down right now. Pick up the watering can of nurturing and love. Ask your child, what do you like? How do you feel? Instead of, you must do this, you have to do that. Remember, the greatest legacy you leave your child is not a high score, not a medal, but a peaceful childhood, and the belief that, no matter who I am, my parents will always love and accept me. That is the most solid foundation for your child to step out into the world. Which stage of this story are you in? Are you holding the hammer or the watering can? Leave a comment to share with Tuệ An. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Insightful Journey so we can learn mindful love together every day. Remember, I am still here if you need me. Goodbye and see you again.